Wouldn't it be nice if Adam Sandler didn't count the dates up all so wrong? And wouldn't it be nice to talk together in a format that goes way too long? You know it's time to rewind, baby, for 19 dates of this movie with Drew Barry. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice? Good morning, listeners. It's another beautiful day here on It's Time to Rewind. I'm your host, Bubbawheat, and joining me today is my guest, Alice Lauren. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you on. And this season, we are discussing, oh, what's the movie again?
10, 20. Oh, I think 50 first dates.
Oh, right. Well, actually, it is 19 first dates, and we are going through them one date at a time. This week's date is what I'm calling their 18th date because it is their 18th interaction, or at least on-screen interaction. And it starts at 81 minutes and 12 seconds with a conversation with Jocko the walrus, and it ends at 89 minutes and 29 seconds with 10-second Tom interrupting before their next first kiss. So, before we jump into today's date, I would like to know what is your experience with this movie and with Adam Sandler movies in general.
Oh God. I love this movie. I've seen it, I guess I would say a couple times. I don't remember how many times, to be honest with you, or did I see it in the theaters? Did I not? Oh my gosh, what year was this? 2004. I don't even know what I was
Hmm.
doing in 2004. Um, but no, I love this movie. I love Adam Sandler. My gosh, what an icon.
Yeah, and like, what's your history with his movies in general? Like, are you a fan of his, lesser regarded comedies?
Oh gosh, I guess so. I was apparently one of the few that liked Click. I don't know. But no, yeah, I'm trying to think about what movies. Grown Ups, not a fan. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, well, I was gonna say things when he was younger. A lot, most of his stuff is from when he was younger. I would say I think right now, um, he's
Well, I
gonna
mean,
kind
these
of
days he's like
he's
churning
kind of
movies
getting
out
into
for
some weird
Netflix.
territory. Yeah, murder mystery, excellent, but yeah, I'm not an Uncut Gems fan at all. Um, I do. Like Click has obviously some drama in there. I think there was like a movie, Funny People or something that was pretty good, but like, so him and drama is okay. I know I was watching, especially, this section here that we're talking about today and trying to see, is he actually a good actor or is he just himself in every single role that he
Mhm.
plays? Um, but yeah, gosh, I love a lot of his movies for sure.
Yeah, I am. I'm with you there, and I'm still kind of going back and forth because I know after I finish this movie, I am going to be taking a more extended hiatus for this podcast. Although I do kind of want to check out maybe a few of his movies that I have managed to miss, maybe as a bonus episode if I make time for it. It's like I know like The Wedding Singer, and I almost feel like I should watch Uncut Gems, even though that one is very. I feel like that's the one that's been brought up the most by guests as a very hit or miss because there's been several people who said that they liked it, and then a lot of people that said that they didn't like it, and that is one of his more recent dramatic roles.
Yeah, and it was so critically acclaimed, but to me, and I think I read this as well, that it's like constantly being part of an anxiety attack. It's just so heightened, and it's just I left the theater so like I don't know, just tightness in my chest. Like and I was bored and I was yeah, no, I was not a fan.
Yeah, and then let's go ahead and jump into this this date, and it's I I'm kind of hit and miss with this one. I like the sentiment overall.
Mhm.
I think it goes some really interesting places, but it also has I feel like it has the most jokes that don't land with me.
I was noticing that too, almost in like a grown-ups way where they're like, I have to put in this gag, I have to put in this Rob Schneider thing,
Hmm.
I have to put in this little, little pieces, and it's like you could see it. Like sometimes you can watch something and you feel like you can just see it on the page, it's not
Hmm.
like it doesn't belong really. It's just another,
Yeah,
I got
insert
I
joke
gotta get
here.
this zinger off. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, although it does start with this like can almost like this confessional between him and Jocko the walrus as he realizes that Jocko is a walrus player, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, so funny.
Yeah, I this is one of the funny moments that I think works for me in this moment. It's cute. I mean the oh, I didn't look up his name. I talked about the walrus actor in an earlier episode, but
The walrus
and
act. Oh my God.
but Jocko as he is here, he is such a great such a great trained animal, and he really the way that they shot it and the way that his trainer got him to interact with with all of them really creates this personality to this walrus in this movie, and it's great, and Adam Sandler just interacts with him so well too, and even though I mean the joke the I mean the fact of him having the multiple girlfriends, it's okay, but I think just the fact that it's a walrus really helps.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. What a fun. Oh man, they need more animal interaction in these films.
Yeah, I almost missed the penguin too.
Oh yeah. Oh, watching him and then like so precious.
And then we switch to Henry leaving for Alaska in his boat, and we have this scene with Rob Schneider, and this I think he's got like two or three jokes, and
Mhm.
in a row, and only one of them lands for me. Like he does the whole like Hawaiian or possibly pigeon, where he
Mhm.
says something which I feel is completely made up. I couldn't find anyone from Hawaii saying whether or not the Hawaiian words are accurate or mean anything, and then he just says it means bring me back a t-shirt, and
Yeah.
then he hugs and he says I'm a medium husky, which I do think that line is kind of funny.
hmm Yeah,
uh
I'm trying to see. I mean, obviously, this character. I feel like it took me a while to realize that that was Rob Schneider, but I feel like, I mean, is it offensive or would it be, offensive today in today's, films? Oh, I'm gonna play a Hawaiian person like this. Like, I don't know. It's a little bit weird. I don't know if we would have gotten away with it if this was a movie film today.
Yeah, I've definitely we've definitely talked about that several times. And pretty much anytime Rob Schneider's character comes up,
Yeah.
because he is playing like at least a long-term Hawaiian, whether or not he's supposed to be like a native Hawaiian, where he's doing a little bit of brown face, and
hmm
uh, although, I mean, in theory, you could say that he's just playing someone that's grown up, that was born and raised in Hawaii, and his character is a quarter Filipino, just like Rob Schneider himself is, because there is a lot of
Yeah.
uh, Filipino immigrants that live in Hawaii. There's a lot of various Asian cultures that have migrated to Hawaii, and not just native Hawaiians, but it's a big question mark. And then his character in general is kind of hit and miss, although his kids are adorable, and I do love the whole flippies in the off the off the dock or off the
You just
pier.
know that they started doing that, between takes, and they're like, all right, okay, we'll do that. We'll put it in the movie. But yeah, I felt like I was like, yeah, I feel like Rob Schneider is not a white man either. So I mean, not that if he was completely a different ethnicity that it would be okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
it,
he's
it's
not a
like,
Howley as he calls he definitely refers to the other white characters as Howleys, which is a an actual Hawaiian or a pidgin word that means white people living in Hawaii.
oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Are those kids? I feel like uh, when they're not his real kids, like, right? Oh, no, no, I feel like they're like filmmakers' kids or something. I don't know why I got the sense when I was watching that they were like filmmakers' kids or someone else. Like,
No, all the kids are actual native Hawaiians that they recruited through
oh,
casting in Hawaii.
oh, okay.
And then I do like, and then Rob Schneider's last line
Mhm.
after he does the belly flop, can you get kids go find my nuts?
Yeah,
That that one did make me laugh. And then we get the uh, Marlon and Doug showing up with the case of Spam and Reese's from Sue and Nick.
hmm.
And I think the best part of this is Sean Astin's Doug. Just
Amazing.
his timing on that on the delivery is so great. He's like Henry says spam and eggs, and Doug's like, I love spam and eggs. Can I have them? And Henry says, yeah, sure. And then he just immediately takes he snatches the box back.
Obsessed. I love that. The accent, oh, so funny.
And I do also love the fact that Marlon and Doug do show up for Henry, and I think that
Mhm.
that's a combination of the fact that they really did have a good relationship with Henry while he was dating Lucy during
Yeah.
however long, probably I have I'm guessing that they were probably dating for a few months
Hmm.
over the course of the events of this movie. And I I get the impression that he just happened to be speaking to the harbor master, and the harbor master mentioned it to Marlin because it's a smaller community, and that's kind of how he found out that Henry was leaving today, and so he decided to take it upon himself to send him off, which was nice.
That they really came around to it.
Hmm.
Sort of being so wary of him. Yeah.
Although I think it's one thing that I never noticed because it's in the background, but I just happened to have it paused. But Henry has a bicycle with him on the boat, just like sitting against the rails behind him. Like, what? Why did he bring a bicycle? Because
For
his boat is
Alaska.
definitely is yeah, his boat is definitely not big enough to ride a bicycle around on.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
too. And where he's going. Yeah, that's interesting.
I guess is that just like, if he has to dock at some point, then he uses his bicycle to get around instead of renting a car, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's well, yeah, but in Alaska, I mean, although I
Well,
guess he has to take it with him. Yeah,
yeah, and we have no idea what time of year this is because he could be going to Alaska in the summer.
that's true. How
Because
far is
I
like I'm like, is it feasible that like I feel like that's so far away from Hawaii? No, maybe. I don't. I do not
and
know
it's
geography, to be honest.
well, I'm sure it's just going straight north. I mean it's if the boat is designed for longer term trips, then it's like a sailboat. It's probably he could probably make it in a couple days, but I didn't actually like look up the math and or look up the map and do the math.
Like
But
this
I
is a
do
plane
think that,
situation. This is not a boat situation.
but I mean, he's going like he's the idea is for him to live on the boat in
Mhm.
the Alaskan waters, like as
That's
as a
true.
long-term trip.
Yeah, that's true.
So the boat is at least designed for long-term travel for him to
Mhm.
to stay on the boat for weeks at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, after this send off, he gives them the CD that's wrapped, and then we have this great little moment between Alexa and Doug. And I love this because, I've talked a lot about Alexa with a lot of the guests, and uh, because she is such an interesting character looking at her at a 2023 lens,
Yeah.
because I feel like she is like almost a trans character. Like I could see
Oh.
if this was made like 10 years later, that she would fully be a non-binary character. But in 2004, she is just a woman that has kind of masculine features, and so there's a lot of jokes about her, possibly being a man. But at the same time, I do like the fact that she's never excluded, and I also really love this scene because it kind of sends her off without any of that sort of joke. It does present her as, just a woman that has the hots for Doug, and she grabs his butt
Yeah.
instead of his arm.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now she probably would not be a trans character, hopefully, just because they are still playing it for, oh, what a weirdo, what a manly woman, what a creep. And we don't want that kind of, you know, treatment, of trans women, trans people now. Um, so yeah, I mean, I
I
was
think
like,
I think if they did do that, then the jokes would be turned down to a certain extent. But I think the way that the movie presents that she's definitely like kind of the butt of the joke, but at the same time, it's at least I feel, and most of the guests that I've talked to feel that the jokes are never malicious towards her, because
mm,
it's always, she always has an upbeat personality about it, and
mhm,
she's always treated as, Henry's friend, and like you never get, other than like, getting her to dive into the fish buckets, and getting the walrus to throw up on her. That's a little bit mean spirited, but that's also not about her looking like a man. And
mhm,
all the stuff about her potentially being a man is in a way like it's Henry being her wingman to a certain extent, like sending his date off to her.
mhm. I see.
But just the whole grabbing the butt, and it just, both of their reactions are fantastic. Just
It was very
Alexa,
dodgeball. Yeah, it was like
yeah.
the same person from dodgeball.
I No, I don't think it is.
No, same type.
Yeah, and just her saying yes, and then Doug just looking completely uncomfortable. But it's also great because it gets paid off in the wedding video in the next scene.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, man, we're gonna laugh at sexual harassment of men, and then right, and then they end up together.
Yeah, and then we get this shot of Henry opening the gift from Marlon and saying that it's the Beach Boys CD. And then it immediately cuts to him singing and crying. And I know whenever I was recruiting people to come on the show, you specifically asked for this scene because of this moment.
Yeah, it's very, very sweet. Yeah. I mean, I guess what also strikes me is that the CD, and I mean, we see the VCR stuff as well. I mean, this was 2004. I mean, I guess were CDs really the thing then? Is it more about being, you know, returning us to a greater time of CDs and VCRs, you know, VHS tapes, I'm like, this was not whatever the 80s, like,
Well, I mean, I'm
feels
pretty
a
sure
little late.
that uh, CDs were still kind of, in 2004, CDs were still like the pinnacle, because that this 2004 is still relatively early days of the internet. There's definitely, I believe this was the time of like Napster
Mhm,
and LimeWire. They're
mhm.
growing in popularity. So you have a lot of the file sharing. But if you wanted to buy music, you would buy it on CD.
Okay, it wasn't the iPod days. Okay. Or
No,
at
I
least
mean it was close, but not quite there. And I do think that a lot of that, like Spotify didn't come out until 2006.
okay.
So this is still 2 years away from Spotify.
Mm.
And I I also just kind of love the fact that based on this shot, you can still see the mountains of Hawaii behind him. That it looks like he's only like at most maybe a half hour out on the ocean, and he's already opened the CD, playing it, and is full on crying over the course
Hmm.
of like just like half an hour.
Yeah.
And then we get the the realization and the fact that Marlon is trying to tell him something because he said that Lucy is singing again. And we get these flashback shots. Like what do you think about the way they do these flashbacks with the highlight with it mostly in black and white, and then you got the highlight in color with Lucy in color and then Marlon in color.
Oh no, that's very pretty. I really love that. I wonder if was he really trying to tell him something through that CD? Do you think, or was it just kind of like, hey, here, she wanted you to have it, or do you think there was really a purpose?
Yeah, I do think that he was kind of telling him something. Maybe not like 100% on purpose, like telling him without telling him, but I think that he did see something, and he did, he was in favor of their relationship because he saw I think that he sees Lucy now compared to where Lucy was before she met Henry, and realizes that none of this would have come about if Henry hadn't entered her life. And even though that he said that just about 3 weeks ago was when she moved to the Memory Institute full time.
Hmm. And yet she was singing again, yeah,
Hmm.
which kind of pays off later with dreaming about him and everything as well.
Right. And then he realizes it and turns his ship around, and we get another mix of kind of good jokes but kind of hit and miss jokes. Like I love the gag with him running into the Memory Institute, and the fact that he can't come up with a good lie, so he's just like standing there going um and then the stupid receptionist is like, oh, he can't even remember his name. I feel bad for him. Go on up, sir.
And that receptionist looks just like the guy painting. Part of me was like, that would have been so funny. He like is the receptionist and he's the the painter. It was so funny. I mean, and I feel like he knew the institute pretty well because I'm like, oh, he knows just where to go. Like
Mm,
he was on a mission. He was like, yep, I'm gonna go up all these stairs. I know where to go.
yeah. Although I guess we do see Lucy instructing the painting class like right before that, and we see the I don't remember his name, but the memory patient in like the beanie,
Yeah.
and him. I'm not I'm not great with him as a character. Like he feels like he is just kind of the butt of the joke anytime he shows up. Just him painting, like Lucy is being Lucy, just being so sweet as she's saying, reminding him, oh, you're painting a picture and you're doing an excellent job at it. And then we
Mhm.
see the picture and it's just a stick figure. And he looks at it and says, man, I suck.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it's one of those that doesn't land for me. And it's like this scene especially is like so hit and miss because it has a lot of good points, and then just these jokes that don't always land. I feel like in general this movie, and breaking it down, has held up more than it suffered, but I do think that this scene specifically has the most of these jokes that just don't land for me. And it's
Mhm.
especially like breaking it down and looking at just this scene, that even though this is such a fantastic moment and it has some great moments with him crying and singing on the boat, and then this moment coming up here with this like grand romantic gesture of him running up to Lucy and being like, Lucy, Lucy, do you know, do you have any idea who I am? And then it just completely turns the tables and it goes against expectation with her saying no. And he says, that sucks.
Yeah. But then it pays off pretty quickly. Like I would kind of
Mhm.
assume, yeah, it would be a little bit weird if she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I do," which I mean, sort of she does, but in her own little in her own little way she does. But so yeah, I don't know if it necessarily subverts expectations or not, but hmm,
Well, I think it does a little bit because in a lot of these, you do expect this like grand romantic gesture.
yeah,
Like you do kind of expect her to be like, "Oh my God, you're the man of my dreams."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
She's a bit slower about it because like he is,
mhm.
but yeah, it's not as grand of a reveal.
Yeah. And I feel like if in a more typical romantic comedy, it would be like that swell with that build up, and then this subverts expectations by delaying the payoff for just a couple minutes.
Hmm.
And I absolutely love Drew Barrymore's performance because especially like after you see it another time, just the look on her face, you can see just on her face this recognition. Like you can tell that she recognizes him, but she doesn't know why she recognizes him. And knowing that she's about to take him into a room filled with paintings of him, like that reaction absolutely makes sense. Where she's like, who is this guy that I've been dreaming about? And now he's here in real life and I have no idea who he is, but I see his face every night.
Hmm. And she doesn't have the long term. Well, no, she has short term, but she doesn't have the long term. Because I was trying to think about like if she recognizes like her family, um,
Yeah, she
or if like
always she wakes up and like the way that the movie presents it, every morning she wakes up thinking it's the day of thinking that it's the day of her dad's birthday. The at this point, it's like a year and a half earlier.
yeah, so she recognizes her dad because I was wondering maybe like Henry entered into her long term memory in a certain way, but then of course she's stuck at a certain date, so maybe not. But maybe there is something at play there with
I think the way that the movie, the pseudoscience that the
yeah, like
movie is going
pseudoscience.
by. Yeah, because I've talked a lot this has a lot of similarities to the real condition of the short-term memory loss, which is much more like it's presented in Memento and even to a certain extent with 10-second Tom, although not usually that extreme. But typically, it's whenever it does happen, you have the short-term memory span of about, 10 to 30 minutes. And uh, you don't have the short-term memory of
A
an
day.
entire day that resets whenever you go to sleep.
Yeah.
But in terms of the pseudoscience of that, where I I think the way that I've explained it before is that her her memory basically resets whenever she enters like REM sleep, like or whenever she goes into like the deep alpha sleep is when her memory kind of resets to the previous day. And in this case, Henry has entered her subliminal memory.
Hmm.
And so she can't consciously bring it up, but whenever she goes into that REM state, her subliminal memory still retains the image and the concept of Henry, and so he shows up in her dreams.
Yeah, yeah, that makes more pseudo sense, I guess. Yeah, girl cannot take naps, I guess, but
Yeah, well, yeah, my theory, and again, this is all fictional, but
Mhm,
uh, with the way that it's presented in the movie, um, I think that, if she takes a nap, as long as she doesn't fall into that deep, that alpha wave sleep, then
mhm,
she would wake up and still retain her memories from earlier in the day.
mhm.
But and I also have mentioned, if she gets insomnia and she's not able to sleep, then
Yeah,
she could potentially retain memories for multiple days at a time.
yeah, yeah. Just try to stay up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also, like, right before they go into the art, her art gallery, or her personal art studio, I guess, is what it would be. We again get this just weird insert joke here of the beanie patient and then the head wound patient, where he's like, I don't even know who I am. And he's like, you're Pablo Picasso. Really? No, not really. Like, that's again, that's another joke in this scene that just completely falls flat for me.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't even remember that beanie patient. I remember 10 Second Tom, and that's it, and it wasn't super memorable.
Yeah, and then we the last bit of the last shot of this scene is them going into this her art studio, her personal art studio that's set up in this memory institute that's just dozens and dozens of pictures, and 90% of them are of Henry. And it's interesting that they're all like various different art styles. Like, this kind of
Yeah.
shows that Lucy doesn't have one specific art style
Hmm.
where they're all the same. There's, some impressionistic, there's some sketches, there's a couple like more realistic painting. And of course we have the the one kind of big joke of the scene of just the egghead with the crack shell.
Yeah, I want this so badly to be like fan art that was sent in, or or just everybody, yeah, or for this movie, even like specifically, like, hey, paint your pictures of Adam Sandler, and then just sends it in. Because
Yeah,
I
be
just, I
like
mean,
a have it be like a Pepsi contest or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just imagining. I'm like, who drew all these? I mean, this art department, man.
Yeah, I imagine that a lot of it was drawn by the art departments. Maybe they might have commissioned other painters to make some of these. I don't remember hearing. It's been months since I've watched this with the commentary. The only thing that I remember them
Mhm.
talking about in the commentary, which is the director Peter Siegel and Drew Barrymore, is he mentions that in test screenings, whenever they get to the shot of the cracked egg portrait, that
Mhm.
always got a big laugh in the audience.
Mhm.
And then I also like, that it's about 95% pictures of Henry, but there are also a couple other non-Henry paintings or pictures mixed in. There's a picture, a sketch of a pineapple, which I think is nice. And there is another picture of an elephant. And
Hmm.
that's something that I've never really paid attention to in previous watches, but I do love how they have these elephant paintings scattered throughout the movie. Like, we see a couple elephant pictures in Lucy's room earlier in the movie,
Hmm.
and then we see one here, and then also when we get to the end credits, they include an elephant painting in the end credits as well. And
Hmm.
I love that they follow through with that, and they don't really comment on it other than the fact that, again, elephants are known for their memory, so that makes
Oh,
sense
true.
that Lucy would be kind of obsessed with elephants.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say like Hawaii elephants. I don't know, but no, that's a great point.
Mhm. And then again, we end this scene with that little bit of the romantic comedy, the subversion with 10 Second Tom. just randomly barging in right before they get their big, their big climactic kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, Adam Sandler just, he's nice, but you can tell that he's annoyed, and he's like, I'm Henry, this is Lucy. Now leave and then come back in 10 seconds and we can introduce ourselves again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves and they have the big kiss and then the fade to white that goes into the final scene. And that wraps up this date. Is there anything else that you think I missed in this scene?
Right. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I mean, I don't recognize like the actor for 10 Second Tom, but I feel like that beanie guy, like I'm trying to look at the cast, like I recognize that person. I don't know who that.
I know 10 Second Tom is Alan Covert.
Hmm.
He's a friend of, I think, I don't remember if it's Adam Sandler or Peter Siegel, the director, but he's had small parts in several of their movies.
Hmm. But yeah, I'm like those guys, the beanie guy and the other guy look, I don't know, kind of familiar, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, obviously he gets his Adam Sandler gets his friends to come in. I mean, I'm seeing, Maya Rudolph is in this, and obviously his wife, and all that kind of stuff. But Kevin James, I mean, man, he has always brought his friends into these movies, always giving them a job.
Yeah, Kevin James just had a one-line cameo in the opening montage. Because I see there's Patience, that's Wayne Fetterman, but I believe that one is he looks more like the head injury guy
Hmm.
based on his IMDb picture. Yeah, that's weird because it's not a big role, but it is he definitely has a few lines, and he does technically have a name because you can kind of see his name tag. I think it's like JD or JB. He's at least got a name, but it's weird that he doesn't show up in the credits at all.
Hmm.
At least not that we can find. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to say about the movie as a whole?
So yeah,
Before I let you go.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's such a sweet, beautiful movie. And I took on, I think, this scene, this crying on the boat specifically. Just want to briefly shout out my best friend, passed away last year, and I know that she really loved the fact that he was screaming crying Beach Boys on the boat. So I wanted to definitely kind of do this for her, although I love the movie. Yeah, I think it is such a beautiful moment of him, crying, screaming on the boat with all of this love for her. Um, it is. I mean, it is a really. It's an interesting concept. I'm a little bit worried that she had a baby, and now there's a child brought into this kind of world as
Yeah,
well.
and I know I've mentioned it plenty of times, but I do love the fact that this movie, if you look at it in terms of dealing with somebody with a disability, it has a really positive message in that regard because throughout the entire movie, they don't. I mean, there's a few brief moments where they think that they can cure her disability or they think that she's
Yeah.
getting better but for the most part, it's about um, dealing with her disability and uh, you know, finding ways to cope with her disability rather than finding some sort of magical cure for it.
Yeah, remaining steadfast, even when, I mean, it's whether it's a model or not, but for a family member dealing with dementia, I mean, it really is, I mean, it is really beautiful that, that love story can still continue. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a lovely movie. It's a funny movie. Not everything lands,
Hmm.
as it should. You said that you feel that it, really stands up today still.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some things could still be, offensive, but I mean, I love this team. I want to see more Drew and Adam go on. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what a sequel would be, but it's probably more of what we already saw.
Yeah, I know. I looked it up earlier, and now I remember that it exists, but I don't remember how it plays out. But on the Drew Barrymore show, they did
Yes.
have a moment where he came on and they reprised their roles as Henry and Lucy for
Mhm.
just a couple minute skit, and that's
What you've
again
done.
I forget how it went, but it was fun to look up and
Now I need
watch.
to watch it again. Oh, so cute, so cute. Yeah.
And then with one last thing that I want to mention, which I did not plan this whatsoever, but I realized that um, when this comes out last week, uh, whenever the previous episode came out on February 13th, 2024, was the 20th anniversary of this movie being released.
Wow. Oh, that's true. It is the 20th. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And I
Oh, I
think it's
feel
kind
so
of
old.
crazy because I didn't plan this at all, but I've had to take I think 3 weeks off due to various scheduling issues. But I if I had stayed completely on time, I could have ended this season exactly on the 20th anniversary, and that kind of blew my mind a little bit so that I did that completely unintentionally.
Hmm.
But thank you so much for joining me today and talking about this movie. And for people that might not be familiar with you and your work, why don't you take a moment and let people know where they can find you online?
Yeah. So I'm Alice Lauren, and I do a lot of these fun movie minute podcasts. Um, and let me just kind of pull up. I still want to call it Twitter, but no, my ex Twitter is at Pod Socialite. My TikTok, if I ever use it again, no, I love TikTok, is Podcast Socialite. Um, I mean, you could find me on Facebook. I use that the most, Alice Lauren. Just let me know where you found me, and I'm sure I'll post different podcasts that I'm a part of.
And as always, I'm Bubbawheat, and you can find me on social media everywhere where I am at Bubbawheat. Currently, the most active on Instagram and occasionally on Threads. Uh, and we also have a Facebook group. It's Time to Rewind, a time loop group, and you can join that to discuss episodes as they come out, as well as I occasionally share other things, which I might look up that Drew Barrymore show clip if I can find that and share that on the Facebook group as well when this episode drops. And you can also discuss other time loop movies, TV episodes. All that's welcome in the Facebook group. And till next time, I will see you again for breakfast next week.
Can we help you, sir?
Yes, I have an appointment.
What's your name?
My name, um, um,
Dude, he forgot his name. I feel bad for him.
just go on up, sir. And good luck with that memory problem.
Yeah, thank you.